In our last episode, we made a visit to Santa Cruz, walked at the beach boardwalk and looked at the sea lions. After I had an emergency visit at the dentist, we left Monterey and sailed south, and had a close encounter with a whale.
Jumped in front of the boat.
So we're more or less at Point Conception now. It's here. And we're going to go to an anchorage on San Miguel Island, around here. So we have 33 nautical miles to go. Still no wind to talk about. We have right now 3 knots of wind, 2.5 true wind from the northwest. Yeah, this cape here, Point Conception, is pretty famous. They call it the Cape Horn of the North because there's an acceleration zone here, so the wind usually picks up a lot in this area. We have some confused seas and high winds. So they say, I mean, if you have around 15 knots of wind in general, the wind speed, the wind velocity, you will probably see around 30 to maybe a bit more, 35 knots of wind around here, around the Cape. I don't know if you can make that comparison though with Cape Horn, because that's a kind of different place. Cape Horn is not really an acceleration zone. Of course there will be some acceleration of the wind as well, because it's land and there's, it's a pretty high island, or tall. But the thing down there is that you have this band of storms revolving the whole globe down there freely with no landmass, and the only thing stopping that is the Antarctic Peninsula sticking out from Antarctica, and on the other end you have Cape Horn, or the tip of South America, and all those low pressures and big seas and currents and everything have to pass the Drake Passage, the water between the Antarctic Peninsula and Cape Horn. And also it gets a bit shallow just next to Cape Horn, around 200 meters. It goes up from 5,000 meters to 200. So the waves down there are just massive, because they've been traveling all around the globe, no restrictions, and everything gets squeezed between those two peninsulas. So I don't know if you can compare it to here, but but I guess it can be pretty hairy here as well. When you have a strong northwesterly wind of maybe 30 knots and that gets accelerated, so maybe you can see 45 to 50 knots here, especially going north. It can't be much fun. But I think the main difference between a place like this and Cape Horn is that this is a local thing, and it won't affect the waves as much. Even if the wind velocity goes up a lot, of course it will have some effect on the waves, but you can't have that really massive buildup of storm waves when it's just a local thing. It's like you have on a lot of places around the world, mainly at places where you have tall islands, like in Hawaii. You have this acceleration zone, also like the Canaries, especially in the summer. You can have really strong winds, but the waves are still not comparable to what you see down in the Southern Ocean, because there the storm system the fetch is the whole globe, so I mean they can be massive. They call the waves down there for gray beards, and you just don't see those type of waves around here. So I think that's the main difference. But still, you should take care rounding some of these capes. It can be pretty bad. Rounding the cape was a bit of an anticlimax. No wind and just an annoying big swell coming from the northwest.
group there and one group there, hanging out on the beach. This island is a ecological sanctuary and part of the Channel Islands National Park Marine something reserve or something. So I think there is a park ranger resident on the island, but you are allowed to walk on the beach, not to camp or anything like that. And these high, tall cliffs that you see all around here really funnels the wind. So last evening it was quite windy here, like strong gusts, and we were kind of just swinging around the anchor. And we read in the guidebook that it's typical here because you have the wind comes and it funnels down the hills and just accelerates, even if it's not that windy like out of the ocean. So yeah, it's not the calmest anchorage. It's pretty rolly right now as well. Like there's some swell coming in from some direction. And I'm in my jacket. I mean, where is the Southern California weather? We heard as you round Point Conception, the weather turns like this. The water becomes so much warmer and the weather is sunny and calm wind. No sun. The water is 16 degrees Celsius. That's cold. That's really cold. And yeah, it's a bit chilly. So I guess something strange with the weather. So we're anchored here in Köhler Harbor at San Miguel Island. It's the westernmost island of the Channel Islands. We got here yesterday at 5:30 in the afternoon. We were both super tired, so we pretty much went straight to bed. You want to catch up on sleep, and me just to settle my stomach and also rest. So we're here all alone now. And well, on the beach there are a bunch of sea lions and elephant seals. So we can hear them roar and do their funny noises all the time. But we will get going already today. Yeah, because we need to. So we will continue to Santa Cruz Island today. I think it might be the biggest of all the Channel Islands. It's like a 7-hour ride to go there.
You like your glasses? But are they helping?
I don't know. Hard to say. It's so rolly. Big swells coming from the north. Coming along the north side of Santa Cruz Island, there was enough wind to turn off the engine and start sailing. We sailed along the rugged coastline. The island looked quite barren, but had some cool caves and rock formations along the coast. We anchored in Prisoners Harbor, which was the most protected anchorage from northwestern and western swell. It's easy to go ashore in this anchorage. because of the pier where you can tie up your dinghy.
We just came ashore, left the dinghy at the dinghy dock over there. We're at the place called Prisoners Harbor. It's a quite nice anchorage, really. And yeah, the night has been calm. The wind has started to pick up a little bit now in the afternoon, but we thought it would be nice to go for a bit of a hike. And on this part of the island, you're allowed to, walk inland without a permit. Because most of this island, I think 75% is like a natural reserve, so you need a permit to visit. But in this area you can walk freely. So we're on a bit of a trail here leading over the mountain, and hopefully we get a good view of Ron at anchor down below. And it's quite nice here. It's a bit more lush, more green compared to the island we visited the other day, San Miguel. But yeah, so it's a bit different.
If you're lucky, you can see an island fox here. They are native to 6 of the Channel Islands, and each island has its subspecies, unique to the island it lives on. They smell wonderful. Like rosemary. I think it's rosemary. And beautiful views from up here. I think this island, like the vegetation, looks a little bit like, it reminds me of actually Panama, like the Pearl Islands, but drier, like less tropical, but like the rocks and some of the bushes and trees. Have some giant eucalyptus trees down here.
Vi går ut här.
Ja. Vad fint.
Ja.
Vilken utsikt.
Ja, riktigt fint. Hyfsat skyddad ankring också. And there's a pretty cool story on how this anchorage got its name. There were some prisoners who were left here on the beach in the 1830s from a ship. I don't know the full story why that ship came from Mexico with some prisoners, and they were turned away in San Diego for some reason, so they continued up here and they left the prisoners here in this anchorage or ashore, and the ship continued to Santa Barbara. And I guess they left them here because they knew that they couldn't escape because it's pretty far to the mainland, and so they left them with some supply and stuff here that for some reason were lost in a campfire. So these prisoners, they managed to build a raft, I guess from driftwood or chopping down some trees, and they made it all the way over to the mainland again. But unfortunately for them, they were recaptured not so long after. But that's how the anchorage down here got its name.
next day we took the dinghy to explore some of the coastline.
Usually we don't go this far with the dinghy, but today we've been driving, I think, for a bit over a mile, almost 2 nautical miles.
The water is so clear. We passed by these tunnels as we were going to the anchorage the other day, and they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Unfortunately, there's a rock in the middle, so we can't take the dinghy through the tunnel. There is, yeah.
Are you
Maybe-
up for flying the drone?
I don't know. We will probably lose connection in the middle of the cave and just crash. So I don't know if I'll.
Fall into the water.
Yeah. So. I bet there's some nice diving on this island. The water is, like Malin said, it's really super clear. I don't know how deep it is here, but maybe 5 meters or so. You can easily see the bottom. You hear the birds? So,
Oj!
Ah, ja.
Stuck in some kelp. Oh, I got loose.
so do you think there's another tunnel in there? I think,
We could see it from the outside.
yeah, but I
but-
don't know if it's possible to go in there. Let's see.
Some big rocks underneath the surface.
Yeah. I wasn't possible to get to that tunnel. I don't know where it's ending actually. Maybe it's just a hole and a small
Yeah, like a cave.
cave in there that the roof had fell in on.
Here's the other side. But there was only one tunnel. There's a small cave on over here that we thought there would be a tunnel as well, but it was just a cave. Our plan is to continue tonight, do an overnight to Newport Beach. It's just south of Los Angeles. We have 87 nautical miles, so it's about 16 hours. So yeah, we figured let's do an overnight of it, and we'll be there tomorrow morning. We got the opportunity to borrow a mooring boat from there, from Sherman, a follower. So a big thanks to Sherman, and yeah, we'll be there for a few days. Want to do some exploring of Los Angeles, of course. We hoisted the dinghy up on deck and got ready to weigh anchor. Next stop, Newport Beach. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, and if you like our videos, maybe you would like to consider to support our production and join our Patreon crew.